Hello and welcome to Daughters of Wisdom. I'm Tammy Treat and I'm here with Cindy Baker. And once again, we are talking about mission work. This has been a four-part series that's very near and dear to both mine and Cindy's hearts, as we both lived overseas for a number of years and I've had a variety of experiences in that time. This will be our final discussion on mission work. It's also one of the hardest ones for us.
Definitely.
We're
Such a hard
talking
topic.
about the return and what it's like to come back from
Yes.
the field. And as you can see, it's an emotional topic.
It's just a hard topic.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a personal decision.
Mhm.
Cindy and I both have very different experiences with that.
Yes.
Um,
And it's more fresh for you,
yes.
which
Yes.
makes it more emotional
Absolutely.
because you're 2 years off the field,
Yes.
and that's still it seems like a long time, I think, to a lot of people. Like, wow, if you've been here 2 years, but in the re-entry process, you're just getting started.
Yeah.
And
I'm still in the
it takes
stages
time.
of transition.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
We've been back in the States since 2012.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been here 13 years
Mm-hmm.
and are very much integrated into American life again. But I've been where you were at. It's a hard place to be.
Yes.
It's not an easy place to be.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, we had talked previously about being on the mission field and hitting hard times in certain places and feeling like, I just want to go home.
Mm-hmm.
This is too hard. I just want to go home. And I remember hitting that place when we came back to the States. Even though I'm back in America,
Mhm.
my home country, where I felt like, this is too hard. I want to go back home. Because home is what I left. And I think that's, always something we may thought to, talk about this at different times. But the idea is when you come back, you're coming back. You're not coming home as a returning missionary. Home is what a returning missionary leaves.
Mm-hmm.
The field was home. If you've been there on a long-term mission, and it's different for a shorter-term mission. It's two totally different categories. But when you've been away on a long-term mission, home is what you left.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why reentry is so hard.
Yes.
That's why.
Well,
it's
we
such a hard
focus
topic.
so much on moving over there, becoming part of the culture, becoming part of the people,
Mhm.
developing relationships. Well, when it's time to leave that, it's not like when you left the U.S. and you moved out there, you knew you were coming back.
Right.
But when you leave the mission field, most likely you're not coming back.
Right.
Now, you may at some point in the future be able to come back for a visit,
Mhm.
but you're not coming back to live there.
Right.
And you are leaving the
Mhm.
people. You're leaving
Yes.
what you've tried to make your home and what you've become comfortable with
Yes.
again.
It becomes much more final.
Yes.
Yes, which is partly why it's hard.
Yes.
And, getting to that decision to come back to the States, it's very personal.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's situation is different.
Yes.
I've known all kinds of missionaries in different places, and their decision to come back none of them are the same.
Yes.
Some people come back for their own health issues. Some people come back because of family members' health issues. Some people come back because the work it got to a point where it could stand on its own and they needed to seek something else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could go on and on and on for all the different reasons people come back to the States, but there's not going to be anything that's like someone else has the exact same situation. It's very unlikely. Because there's so many factors at play in making that decision. Some people come back because they choose to come back, and some people come back because they have to come back because of circumstances. And I think that's why it makes it so hard.
Yes.
But yet at the same time, the emotions involved and the experience of re-entry, even though with you and I, our situations were very different coming off the field, the reasons we came off the field, how long we were there, all of that was different. And yet what I see you, dealing with in these 2 years, I recognize that feeling. I remember what it felt like, where it was just like, this is just the
Yes.
worst thing in the world. This is so hard.
Yes.
And
The emotional roller coaster is still the same.
Exactly. It is.
It may be a different ride, but it's
Right.
still an emotional
Yeah.
roller coaster.
Yep. Exactly. So true. So, I think it's appropriate, like kind of like when we were talking about in our first episode about how preparing to go on the mission field, it affects you physically, just all those little decisions you have to make to move, and then spiritually and emotionally. I think it's appropriate that we revisit those on the back end of
On
that.
the flip side.
On the flip side, there's the physical stuff. There's all the planning and preparation involved in moving back. It's what are we going to take, or how much furniture are we going to take back? How many belongings are we going to take? It's different for everybody, and preparing for that. For us, Aaron and I did a lot of or tried to do a lot of research. Now, granted, I've said before, internet capability in Vanuatu was not great.
Yes.
So there wasn't a lot out there that was accessible. But we had a few books on reentry that we read, and those kind of helped prepare us, even though they were sometimes written from someone else's experience that may be totally different than ours. Like you said, the ride was, the emotional roller coaster, still the same. And it kind of helped prepare us to okay, this is what you should expect going back. So I think that's really valuable for returning missionaries.
Yes, absolutely. And, one of the things that comes into play with all of this too is if you were planning to come back. And I know in our situation, we'd been there for 18 years. Well, no, at that point, at the time that we made the decision, we'd been there for a little over 17 and a half years. And we were home on a reporting trip. And it became quite obvious because of some health issues, because of some circumstances in the islands, some family circumstances, just a variety of things.
Storm.
It was the perfect storm. And we came to a realization that it was time to come home. When we still had thought we were going to be out there for maybe another 5 years or so.
Wow.
So, and with everything coming into play as it did, I didn't even get to go back to say goodbye. So, Joey and Jack went back. They did all of the goodbyes, all of the packing, all of the, what are we bringing back? What are we selling? What are we, they spent 6 weeks cleaning up our life on the island. And it was hard.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
And it was especially hard because Jack is our third one, and he was born during our time in the islands. So the island life, well, of course, Nina and Noah, that's really all they knew too.
They were so little.
But they had both already moved back to the States because they were going to college. Nina later got married. So their lives were already transitioning. For Jack, he was not prepared. His life was in the islands. And so it was an extremely difficult choice for us to make. And so preparing for that there was very little preparation. It was only, well, this is the decision that we need to make. Right. And this is what we're going to do. And
so here you are.
So here we are.
Yes. Living that out. Yes. I mean, I just... it's so hard.
But I mean, you had a different story. I mean, you had the other issue of family health issues.
My mom was not in good health, and we really felt like we needed to be here to support my dad more. And it was still a very difficult decision, because even though we knew it was the right decision at that time, it was still very hard to make that decision and then carry that out. And it's might not have been what we would have chosen if circumstances had been different. It's hard to say, but because that was such a main factor that we really felt like we needed to be here. So here we are.
Exactly. Yes.
You go through all of the things, and I think one thing that stands out to me is why is it so much harder to come back to the States than it is to move to another country in the first place, because initially you would think it's harder to go to another country. Everything's different. But I think the difference is when you go to another country and you're moving into that country, everybody expects you to be different. You look different, you talk different, you act different. You're that weird American doing all those weird things. And they expect that. And
even you expect that.
And you expect that. You know you're going to have that discomfort.
Yes.
You know you are going to be uncomfortable for a certain amount of time in that country. When you come back to the U.S., it's your home country. You sort of expect like you're going to know what to do. And yet you come back and you look like everybody else. You talk like everybody else. You sort of act like everybody else, but yet not 100%. And people notice that difference. They notice that the not 100%. Like, this person's a little odd. And they expect you to be the same, but you're not the same.
Yeah.
And they don't understand why you're not the same.
Yeah.
Why you do the things you do, why you're thinking differently, why you can't stop talking about that place that you came from. Because that's really the reality. Like, you want to talk about it all the time because it was such a huge part of your life for so long. And I really cannot remember who said it. It had to be some missionary that we were involved with at some point over time, but that had already returned back to the States. And they said, you have to get to a point where you stop talking about where you have been, because people, that the more you talk about it, the harder it is for people to identify with you.
Yes.
Like, you have to get to a point where you just mention it on occasion, but you're not talking about it constantly.
Yes.
And you know that, and yet it just bubbles out of you, you know, and then you're like, bring that back. No, I want you, I want to make these relationships and these connections. And it's harder than you think it's going to be.
It really, really is.
Yeah.
And I totally identify with all that, because there have been so many times in the last couple of years that I'm in a room with people who look like me, and I look like I fit in. But inside, I don't think like they do. No. I don't feel like they do. I feel like I'm speaking a very different language than they are. And I don't know how to bridge that gap. Yeah. And it's really difficult, because when you spend a significant amount of time away, you lose track of how it is here. Right. Not only, with electronic gadgets and all of the new, ways to do things. I mean, there's so much that we get behind on. Yeah. But we also we don't interact with people in the same way anymore.
Yeah. And it's really hard to put your finger on exactly what it is.
Yes.
But, the thing is, it can't be helped by anything but time.
Exactly.
There is no solution to that.
Yes.
But just time. And in the same way we push through those hard times on the field, we have to push through the hard time of getting back into American life. And it's difficult. It's very difficult. So it requires preparation. I think half the battle is knowing what to expect, having that missionary tell us that, like, when you go back to the States, you're going to want to talk about Vanuatu all the time. You have to get to a point where you don't talk about Vanuatu all the time. I never would have thought of that. I would have just kept right on talking, because I didn't realize the impact, what it was doing. Yeah. So things like that, just kind of being able to prepare yourself, like what to expect, is a huge deal.
Yes. Again, talking to seasoned missionaries.
Yeah.
If you're going to do mission work.
Yeah, for sure.
It's very important.
Yeah. I know you all have had some health issues coming back, and that's kind of, you don't think about how that affects your
And when you're
experience.
Dealing with health issues at the same time as dealing with the stress of an international move, the difficulty in reintegrating into American society when you're accustomed to island society, you put all of that together, and one of the big things we were dealing with was a serious depletion of minerals. And there's so many health issues that you don't know how they're connected. But in learning all of this, we're learning that stress depletes certain minerals.
Mm-hmm.
And then if those minerals get depleted, it stresses the body more. So you're
Yeah.
in a serious, difficult situation.
Yeah.
And so we've been working to address both the stress,
Mm-hmm.
the mineral depletion, the health
Mm-hmm.
issues,
Mm-hmm.
but it is a process.
Yeah.
You know, here we are 2 years later, and we're still climbing out of that hole.
Yeah. The pit.
The pit. It's getting closer,
Uh-huh.
and I'm to the point now where it's like I can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
But you know, I not too long ago, Joey was talking with a missionary family that we knew years ago, and I was so glad he was able to talk with them because they were missionaries, I think, for about 15 years in South America.
Mm-hmm.
But this was about 30 years ago. So they've been stateside now for like over 30 years.
Wow. Okay.
And they talked about how even now you never get to the point where you just feel like you fit in again.
Interesting.
But you adjust.
Yeah.
You adapt.
Right. Yes.
So, but it was so good to be able to talk to someone who understood.
Right.
And could say, yes, we know how you feel.
Right.
And it's okay.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is like, we think of that as a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, on the outside looking in, we think, oh, to never feel like you fit in, that is the worst thing ever. But if we'll step back and look at it from like even a biblical standpoint,
yeah,
that's exactly what God wants for us in this life here.
Yes.
Like in this world, he wants us to feel like this world is not our home. He doesn't want us to feel like we fit in. If we feel like we fit in, there's a problem.
Yes.
And so when you step back and look at it from that angle, it's like, okay, maybe it's not so bad to feel like I don't fit in because, you know, it creates good things like a greater dependency on God, you know, a greater commitment to prayer, you know, the things that God wants to infuse into your spiritual life. It helps that to grow because you realize I don't fit in. I am floundering. I need help, you know,
and God is the only one who can help me.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly,
and so
when you think through the list of what can I do to fix this, sometimes it's just there's nothing I can do.
Right.
It is all on God.
That's right.
But I've got to get out of his way and let him.
Yes. Yes. Always the struggle, getting out of his way.
Absolutely.
For sure. You know, on the lighter side of moving back, you know, then you've got like, okay, shifting to things like moving logistics, you know, what are we going to do now? Now we've got all this stuff in this other house. And what are we going to take back to the States? And I know for us, it was different, you know, between you and I, it was different, like what we decided to take back. We ended up not hardly taking anything back to the U.S. We shipped, now Aaron's probably going to correct me if he ever hears this because I'll probably get it wrong. But it was like this, it was this giant, like really heavy duty cardboard carton-y thing. But it was like 4 feet by 5 feet.
Wow.
Or something like that. All I know is it did not fit this step stool that it was my most beloved step stool. I'd had it since I was in high school. It went to college with me. It moved to all these different states in our married life. And it went to Vanuatu with me. And it was too tall to fit in the little carton. And I was like, my step stool. I know it's stupid. It's a step stool. You really shouldn't be so attached, but it didn't fit. And then other thing was a baby changing table that we took over with us when Kayla was little, you know, when she was still needing a changing table, and we used it with Malia, and, you know, it went all the ways with us everywhere, you know, in the islands. It spent a lot of years with us, and then he converted, when we didn't need it for a changing table, he converted it into a kitchen workstation. We painted it. He put like a wood top on it so I could use it to work at, like an island, like a homemade island. And it was just like so cute, and I just loved it so much. And no, had to sell that. And I'm still bitter about it.
You still
No,
remember that?
but
Yes.
it's still that process of letting
Yes.
go. You know, you're
Yeah.
doing it again, is reminding yourself, like, these are just things.
Yeah.
I mean, it was hard to let go of those things, but really, they're just things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's life goes on.
Yeah.
But it's hard to do that, and you do have to make those decisions about, like, now I'm letting go of this life and all the things that, you know, were the markers of this life, so I can go back to this other life.
Yeah. Well, and that's something that I don't think people necessarily think about right offhand. Is usually when a missionary comes home, even us, you know, we did ship a 20-foot container back, but I mean, we had 18 years of life. Yeah. And so, you know, there was the baby cradle, and there was, you know, just precious things that we had taken with us because we knew we were going long term, right. Lord willing. And so there was still enough things that needed to come back, but we still had to start over with furniture. There, you know, we're 50 years old now, and we're not those people who have been living here and been building their wealth here and have, you know, bought the house, and then they've upgraded the house, and then they've bought the furniture and the furniture. No, we're coming back. We're starting over. Right. You know, at our age. And it's like, we were very thankful. We had an overseeing congregation who understood those things. Right. So we were prepared to be able to, you know, carefully replace some things. But, you know, that's something that has to be kept into mind because it's hard enough coming back. Yes. But to come back and to have to deal with the logistics of, well, where are we going to live? How are we going to live? Do we have money to live?
Do we have any beds to sleep in?
Yes, exactly. Are we going to have a couch?
Yeah, exactly. All that stuff. You know, and then you think about it for us, we had to think about it from a kid standpoint because we weren't shipping back very much. Toys and things had to be downsized. Now, we had, you know, nothing compared to probably what most American kids had. And people would probably look at it and be like, y'all didn't have anything. But I remember distinctly taking Kayla. Kayla was 8 when we moved back to the States. Malia was 4. So Malia, I pretty much just picked for her, you know, this is what we're taking for Malia. But I had to take Kayla in her room, and we laid out all her stuffed animals and said, okay, here's all these stuffed animals. I want you to choose 5 of your favorite stuffed animals that we'll take back. Here's all your baby dolls. I want you to choose your 3 favorite baby dolls. Like, helping her to do that. Yeah. And it wasn't easy because, of course, she's 8 years old. She's like, what?
Why can't I take them all?
Why can't I take them all? And the reality was we couldn't take them all. There just wasn't room for it. But not only do I have to learn to let go of those physical things that marked our life in Vanuatu because they're just things, to come back to the States, I had to show my child they're just things. And, you know, now those stuffed animals will make somebody else really happy. You're going to give them to, and for her, it was important we gave them to people specifically. Yeah. Our stuff we sold in the garage sale, you know, that kind of stuff. But for her, it helped her to be like, now we're going to make this little girl in the village happy, you know, by giving her a stuffed animal that she doesn't have. And that kind of stuff kind of helped her work through that. She's 20 now, so I'm curious, like, if she feels the same way about it looking back.
What are her thoughts
but
now?
I thought she did really well myself. Like, I was very proud of her and how she made that adjustment. But it's not easy, you know, but it had to be done because we just couldn't take it all back. Yes. You know, so it's there's all that logistical stuff that gets
definitely
exciting.
And then once the logistics are over, and then real life settles in, right? And then you find yourself on that emotional roller coaster, and how do I do this? Right? How do I navigate these waters? How long is this going to take? You know, Joey and I both, you know, were really surprised at how slowly we were working through things. Yeah. We really expected, hey, 6 months, a year, we'll be able to, you know, flush all this out, move on. Right. No. And we're still slowly working that out and still figuring our place and figuring out how we navigate these waters here and how we live life here and how we relate to people here.
Right.
And so, that's one reason why I'm thrilled we're doing videos like this, because I think it's important that we put that out there so that people can understand that, hey, we need to give these guys some more support.
Right.
We need to realize that there's more they're dealing with than we can see.
Yes.
Or we can even comprehend.
Right. Absolutely. And to kind of normalize those emotions.
Yes.
That, like, if you're struggling with that as a returning missionary, that's normal. That's okay.
Yeah.
I remember going shopping for bath towels. And I went with my sister and we went to like TJ Maxx. We were looking for bath towels. I don't know why it was such a hard decision, but it was like very important to me that I picked exactly the right color and, used my money very wisely because, we're on a limited budget. And I wanted to choose something that I would be able to use for years. That was very important to me.
Yes.
And it was such a struggle. And I remember coming out of that store, standing in the parking lot at the trunk of the car with this bag of towels and crying. I'm crying over bath towels. People don't generally cry over bath towels. Like, that's not normal. But I was. But that was just part of the emotions. Part of just this whole adjustment to this new life. I am buying bath towels in America because now this is where I live.
Yeah.
These are the towels I'm going to use now. The towels I used to use are still in Vanuatu. Just all the heavy emotions involved in those things, they're normal though. They're hard, but you get through them.
Yes.
But they're not, there's actually nothing odd about crying about bath towels.
Well, it's also overwhelming.
Yes.
And that's one thing that is very common, especially in the first few months of coming back, is the overwhelm.
Yes.
You get overwhelmed by choices in the store.
Yes.
I remember going to Hobby Lobby the first Christmas and walking down the aisles going, how can there even be this many Christmas decorations? This is insane. There are too many choices. I don't want to have to choose.
Absolutely.
And it's just overwhelming. You need anything, it's there.
Right.
Our lifestyle in Palau specifically was very much kind of a hoarding lifestyle, because if you had something, say an old bed sheet that you're not using on your bed anymore, you don't get rid of that. You might need it for something else later down the road, and things are more expensive. It's harder to come by. If you have to order it, it's expensive, more expensive. Yeah. So you have a stash of things. We had a whole cabinet. It was like, that's basically what this is. Yeah, it's just things that I might need.
Right.
And it's hard to let go of that mentality when you come back.
Yeah.
But then you come back and you're like, why do I have all this stuff? And most of the stuff I won't use. And so it's been a slow progression on learning what I need to keep. But emotionally, I needed to hold on to that stuff.
Right.
Because it was part of who I was. It was part of my life. And if I just throw it to the Goodwill, then, I'm just totally getting rid of who I was.
Yeah.
And, and I'm already not knowing who I am right now anyway. I've lost who I am. My identity was wrapped up in being a missionary.
Yeah.
Suddenly, my husband is not even a minister now. He's working with GBN. So, we're a member of a congregation that has 300 members, and I'm lost.
Yeah.
Because we were never part of a congregation larger than about, Saipan, 50 to 60. That was the max.
Right.
So suddenly I'm in a 300-member congregation that doesn't really need me because, there's plenty of people to do all the things. And all the things are happening without me.
Yeah.
You mean that happens?
They don't need me.
They don't need me?
Yeah.
And so it's like, who am I? And where do I fit? And where do I belong?
Yeah. But yet you look like everybody else.
Yep.
So you should, nobody expects you to be floundering a little bit,
Yes.
and
Yes.
feeling lost.
Yep.
But that's the reality.
Yes, it is. And
And
so,
it's normal,
you
but-
have to, again, you find yourself leaning completely on God.
That's right.
I know I've got to get through this. I kind of liken it to the stages of grief. I don't want to diminish death or,
Right.
Of a loved one or anything like that. But it is like stages of grief, and
Right.
you're trying to work your way through and figure out, okay, now, how long am I going to be dealing with this?
Yes.
When am
Yeah.
I going to get out of this and move on to something else?
Yeah.
When is this going to be more comfortable for me?
Mhm.
And, there's many times when it's just like in moving overseas. The only thing you can do is lean on God.
Yeah. You just push through. I remember before we moved to Vanuatu, we had talked with a former missionary, and I remember her saying, do the next thing.
Yes.
Whatever it is, do the next thing.
Yes.
You're going to face hard times. You're going to face all sorts of difficulties on the mission field, and now even returning back to the States. Just do the next thing.
Yes.
Because if you dwell on, what you're feeling in that moment, and you stay stuck in that moment, you'll never get past that.
Yeah.
So you have to just, okay, what's next? What do I need to do next? Until you keep doing the next thing until it feels normal.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you'll get there.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's important, once again, to make sure you're doing your Bible study, because that's keeping you grounded and keeping you,
right,
with your mind where it needs to be.
That's right.
And it brings to mind, here's some scriptures that help me in thinking through all of this and in working through all of this is, James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4. My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. So once again, it's patience.
Yeah.
We're having to be patient with ourselves, with other people who are getting to know us. We have to be patient with changes and allowing ourselves to adjust, allowing our emotions to catch up.
Right.
And then also in James 4 and verse 8, I love this one, draw near to God and he will draw near to you.
Yeah, that's right.
I've got to draw near to him first, and then he will draw near to me. Yeah. And that has many, many days been the only thing that has kept me positive and knowing that it will get better.
That's right. That's right. And you can't neglect your spiritual life.
Yes.
In all of that,
Absolutely.
So, we tend to like to be Marthas and busy about all the things, but that's something we have to pull out our inner Mary and not
put
neglect.
Martha away for today.
Well, we'll just, we'll keep her nearby to clean the kitchen.
Yes.
Oh, man. Yes, that's true. It's kind of funny because one thing that stands out to me, and this is just something that I think is really important for people to be aware of, is when you move back to the U.S., the natural inclination is for people to say, welcome home, because you're returning to your home country and it should feel like home. But, like I said before, home is what you left. And I wish I could just tell everybody and we'll reach a certain number of people, but and we've talked with each other, but you just wish you could tell every single person that ever comes across a missionary who's returning back from the mission field, don't say welcome home to them, say welcome back. Yeah, because home is what they left.
Yes.
And how many times did we hear things like, aren't you glad to be back? I mean, if I could tell you how many times aren't you glad to be back? And inside I was like, no, I'm not glad to be back. I want to be there. But they don't understand why I'm not glad to be back right now. Now, am I glad to be here now? Yes. God has brought many wonderful things into our life in our time here. in the States. You know, he's taken what this like crumbling Cindy returning home from the field and made something and made a good life from that.
Yes.
Because he's able to.
Yeah.
But in that moment, when I remember getting off the plane and crying all the way to my parents' house, we stayed with my parents for about 2 months when we came back to the States. And I remember crying in the van from the ride from the airport to their house because that was where I was landing for that time. And it seemed so final. You know, so I think it's important for people to be sensitive to where returning missionaries are emotionally when they arrive back.
Yes. Yeah, I've heard the same thing. You know, so many people, oh, you must be so happy to be home. And it's so hard to not say, well, no, I can't say that I'm happy. You know, is this where I feel like I'm supposed to be right now? Yeah, things kind of lined up, and I feel like this was the best decision.
Yes.
Am I happy about it? Not necessarily. It's a mixed bag of emotions.
Today, I'm a mixed bag.
And if you ask me today, it may be one,
Right.
and tomorrow it may be something completely different.
But with time,
yes,
you will be able to say that.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
And you know, we don't want to leave the impression with people that like it's all it'll stay this way forever, because it won't. You know, you do get to where you're like, I'm happy with my life. I have a good life. I have a good life here.
Yes.
But
and I feel very blessed.
There's
very
that
thankful.
time where you're like, am I gonna have a good life here? I don't know.
Was this a mistake? What did we do?
That's right. I didn't sign up for this, but you know, you get through it. You get through it.
Oh,
So,
yes.
and it's just, you know, in the end, what you come down to is, was it worth it? You know, was it?
Absolutely.
Yes, it was. It was definitely worth it. All the
I wouldn't
hardships,
give
and the trials.
up the changes that for me, for my family, I wouldn't give it up for anything.
No. Being a missionary is just, it's a great experience.
Yes.
It's very difficult in a lot of ways. It brings a lot of challenges that you're like, I didn't want to face this. I didn't want to have to make these decisions. I didn't want to go through this emotion. But looking back, it was absolutely 100% worth it.
Yes.
Because you gain so much more than you lose.
Yes.
You know, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And, you know, that reminds me of kind of what we talked about a little bit before, what Paul says in 1 Corinthians 9:22 and 23. To the weak I became weak, that I might win the weak. I have become all things to all men, so that I may by all means save some. I do all things for the sake of the gospel, so that I may become a fellow partaker of it. It's worth it.
It is.
It's definitely worth it.
It is.
So,
and then you come back and you have some awesome stories to tell.
You do. Great stories. Some of them we can't talk about on this podcast.
No. But if you're curious, maybe
That's
in a
right.
one-on-one conversation.
That's right. We've had some good laughs.
But to that end,
yes,
we decided to end this lovely series with a nice little list of 10 reasons why it's great to be a missionary in the Pacific.
Right. Some fun things.
Yeah. Number 1, you just might be gifted a critter to eat.
That's right. If you're lucky. Number 2, you might get to kill a chicken with your flip-flop.
Number 3, you will gain a wide variety of toilet skills.
So true. Okay, number 4, you'll learn to translate gecko talk.
Yes.
You know, they have different clicking sounds and, you know,
those two are arguing. Yeah. That one may be calling
geckos.
a mate. And bear in mind that these are coming from the experience of living in the Pacific Islands.
Yes, these are very subjective.
into all
Yeah,
mission fields. Number 5, you'll learn that roosters don't only crow at sunrise.
No, they don't.
No.
And I'm not happy about it.
2 o'clock in the morning.
I'm like, it's dark outside. Be quiet. I'm trying to sleep. Number 6, you might get to eat the family dog. Not kidding. That's not a joke. I didn't make that up. You can ask Aaron Baker about that later.
Number 7, if you're lucky, someone will call you fat, and mean it as a compliment.
I should have got that one.
Yes, you should have.
That's Miss Llama.
For me, it was just, oh, sister, you look fat today.
Thank you. Yes. I got called fat.
Okay.
That's the Miss Llama word. That's all there is.
Oh.
And it feels great, let me tell you. Okay, number 8. You may find yourself commenting on how cold it is at 65 degrees.
Or even 70, because it's 70 in this studio, and we are both freezing.
Are shivering. That's why I wear the same sweater all the time.
And number 9, your children may be featured in many tourists' photo albums.
That's a good one for you.
Oh, it was.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Your kids.
I couldn't go anywhere in Saipan without the kids getting their picture taken. And they wanted to touch the skin because their skin was so soft and so pale. Yeah. And they were just fascinated.
It's amazing. Who knew they were celebrities?
Yeah.
They are. Okay, last one, number 10. They say sweating is very detoxing for the body. You will detox often.
Just look at it as a health.
It is. It's
promoter.
That's right. Very healthy.
Yes.
All right. Well, this has been great. I have enjoyed our discussion and some of our memories, and even in the hard things, like it's definitely worth it. Yes. I'm glad we share this together. So
absolutely. It's been great.